Hello everyone, how's it going? I'm WoWcrendor and welcome back to another episode of World of Crendor, where I answer the questions you submit to me at twitter.com/Crendor or facebook.com/Crendor. Those are the two main places I take questions from. If you want to ask me questions directly, twitch.tv/Crendor is where I live stream and I look at chat and stuff like that, so I mean, that's another option. Also, the footage in the background of this World of Crendor is from my latest ASMR video on my Goodnight Crendor channel, link in the description below if you like either ambient WoW noises, me rambling in a low voice, which if you're listening to this, we're practically there, and I'm going to be trying some ASMR stuff, so check that out, subscribe if you want. Okay, I'm done promoting my stuff. Also, Sloth Pants still available, link in the description. Now I'm done. So let's answer some questions. First question comes from Daniel Ember, and they ask, what do you think about the new leveling system? Will it make people who just rush the old content make a new alt to enjoy the old zones and their lore? I think some people will make new characters to go back to the old zones and do all the quests and do the lore. That's essentially why I started my WoW leveling series 5 years ago in the first place, was because I wanted to go back and kind of just experience all the quests. I know people are like, Crendor, I'm leveling faster than you, and I've done it, I've leveled like 10 characters faster than you. That's cool. But I'm mainly leveling because I want to experience the lore. Like, I've already leveled, 2 characters to 110. I've leveled multiple characters to like past 60. So, I mean, this is, nothing crazy new for me that I'm doing. But it's more about just going through some of these quests, seeing what they're actually about, taking the time to read them. Because most of the time when you're leveling, you don't really care. You don't read the quest text or anything. Most people don't, at least. And so even just doing my WoW leveling, I've already learned so many things that I didn't before. It's like, wow, I never knew this quest was actually about this thing. I just thought you went and gathered the stuff, which technically you do go gather the stuff, but I mean... you know what I mean. It's like on a different, level. Not level. It's like on a different, or it's a different mentality, right? It's like if somebody puts a little story behind a task rather than go do the thing. It's not a chore, it becomes like an adventure. That's what it is. That's what I'm getting at. It's not a chore, it's an adventure when you add some story behind it. And so, that's kind of what I've been doing by WoW leveling. And now with the latest WoW leveling changes, teabag. Now with my latest WoW leveling changes, I'm gonna be doing that more often because it slows down the WoW leveling, because the scaling is happening in all the zones. So now you won't one-shot mobs. You'll actually be able to take your time and do most of, like, if not all the quests in a zone. While before, even if you check out my latest WoW leveling episode, I'm like, oh man, I'm just gonna do this because I don't know if I'll be able to do all the Grizzly Hills quests and stuff, and that's like, oh wait, I can do all the Grizzly Hills quests now. Like, I actually can take my time and go through each zone and do all the quests for that zone, or however many I want to do. And I think that's really nice. I like that a lot. I'm definitely all about the leveling changes, and I would encourage you to make an alt and just kind of just, chill out with it, right? Don't make an alt and be like, I gotta get it to max level. Just be like, you know what? I'm gonna take my time. I'm gonna read these quests, and I'm gonna like even just pretend to be the characters. Be like, hey, like make up their voices in your head, and be like, whoa, like this is what this guy actually wants me to do. All right, I can go do that, and then just like chill out, have some fun with it. So yeah, I think it's pretty cool. Bastosa asks, am I too late to ask a question? No, you're not too late to ask a question. Thank you for your question. Next question. Daniel Kudelka asks, if you could choose any fictional world to live in except World of Warcraft, which would it be? Here's the thing. I don't even know if I'd pick WoW, to be honest. Let me just see. I would... Guild Wars 2. I wanted to look at Guild Wars 2 real quick here. Because I think I'd pick Guild Wars 2. I really like how Guild Wars 2 looks. I love the environments. I love the music. Maybe if the music kind of played in the background, that'd be even better. I really like the aesthetic of Guild Wars 2. I almost said Blue's Clues 2. I love Blue's Clues 2. The second one is just far superior than the first. Yeah, that's a fun game. MU Online still has that nostalgic thing for me where I'd love to live in that world for a little bit with no monsters or anything, just like living in those zones, like Laurencia, Noria, Davias. If you've watched my MU Online things, you know what I'm talking about. If not, then you're like, what's that? It doesn't matter. I'm trying to think if there's any other game I would want to live in. I mean, it's like chill environments. I would say Skyrim, but Skyrim's still like, I don't know. A lot of MMO worlds I like more than Skyrim, world-wise. But yeah, I think probably those two. Anywhere with like changing environments as well, like how I can go between environments. Like you go to a forest, you go to a snow world, you go to a desert land, like anything like that, because you get a little bit of everything, right? You're like, I don't want to go here. Oh my god, I just thought of it. Breath of the Wild. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. That world would be a definite consideration. I love Breath of the Wild. It reminds me of Studio Ghibli. It reminds me of a Studio Ghibli world. And I'd love to live in most of the Studio Ghibli worlds. So, probably any of those. In fact, I'm drinking my tea out of a Studio Ghibli cat bus mug that someone made from a Comic-Con thing. So it's like a custom-made cat bus mug. And Cat's over there running around. Well, he's not running, he's just walking. So yeah. Next question is from Norkio Sarah, and they ask, are you still going to do another mega stream of Banjo Kazooie? And yes, I am. I actually planned on doing it a few weeks ago, but I was not feeling well, and it was getting to be Christmas, and I was stressed out, or it was like the holidays, and I was like, alright, I'm going to delay it. And so I delayed it, and now pretty much any of the upcoming weekends I can probably do it. I'm probably not going to do it this weekend, because I could probably do it Saturday if I wanted. Maybe I'll do it this Saturday, January 20th. That might be good. And if not, actually, you know what? Yeah, maybe we'll do it this Saturday, January 20th. Because when is Monster Hunter World supposed to come out? And I'm going to be playing that with all the nerds. That comes out January 26th, which is a Friday, next Friday. So I don't want to play it next weekend because we're just going to be playing that all the time. So you know what? Maybe we'll do it on this Saturday. I think that might be a really fun thing to do for a Saturday, and everybody's off. Everybody's got some time, you know? And if not, then maybe the Friday the weekend after? So either this Saturday the 20th, unless I'm like forgetting about something that's important, or next, the Friday after the next, so it'd be February 2nd. What's that? When's the Super Bowl? Isn't that the, because I'm going to watch the Super Bowl, obviously. I'm a giant sports nerd. February 4th. Oh yeah, so that's like the Friday before. The thing is, Banjo-Kazooie only takes like 9 hours, so it's not even like a crazy game, so I might just do that. So follow me on Twitter. Twitter's the place where I'm like, hey, I'm doing a thing, and I'll let you know. Next question is Matthew Cloyd. Who do you have in mind for upcoming Fishing with Crendor shows? Love listening to them while I work. Thanks, Matthew. And I was gonna have Force, V4 Strategy Gaming, because I've done a lot of streams with him. I've known him for a while. I've met him in real life. He's just he's a great, chill, cool old man dude. You know, he's only like 32, but he's like the oldest man I know. He lives like he's a 55-year-old retired person, and I like that about him. As for other people, I wouldn't mind just getting some suggestions. If anybody wants to leave some suggestions in the comments for who I should go fishing with, I'd love to just, you know, go contact those people however I can. I mean, at this point, it can be, you know, WoW people, video game personalities in general. It could be authors. I mean, I fish with Brandon Sanderson, so if there's any other authors anybody likes, that would be another one, because I'm still trying to just get as much knowledge as I can about writing, so I'd love to interview some more authors. I know some people have suggested Patrick Rothfuss, I think that's his name. So maybe him. I could reach out. So yeah, just leave some comments in the comment section about who I should fish with next, because I'll definitely keep fishing going. I don't plan on stopping that. So yeah, Riley Bone asks, what would your custom Hearthstone expansion be about, and what new ideas would you want to see come into it? Oh wow, I saw this question, I was like, oh, this is great, and then I didn't even think about it, so I'm like, alright, what would I do? Alright, and it could be goofy, like we've had kobolds, right? We just had kobolds. What's something I've done? It was like a WoW machinima type thing. Or just kind of memey, you know what I mean? Let's go. There's gotta be something. Darkmoon Fair would be kind of cool. I think if they did a Darkmoon Fair theme, that's actually a realistic one. I think they could do Darkmoon Fair themed Hearthstone stuff. You could have like crazy rides. You could have like fortune tellers. You could have just like tokens you win, and then like you get like token cards you can play. I don't know. There's a whole bunch of stuff you could do with that. I think Darkmoon Fair, that might actually be one of their real expansions, come to think of it. Like, I don't... Listen, if we get like a year from now and everyone's like, oh my god, he predicted it, I don't know anything. I'm just saying I think it'd be a really good one, and it makes sense. As for what I'd want... Hold on, it's playing my videos. I don't want to hear myself. Probably a... Oh, zombie dragons. Obviously. We would need some sort of zombie dragon expansion with just a whole bunch of zombie dragons, various types, kinds. You can even do a zombie themed expansion. They already got some zombie cards, but like, you know, undead, an undead type one with zombies and stuff. I'd like a Tauren type expansion. I don't know if that even makes any sense, but just, I've always enjoyed Mulgore and like Tauren areas, and themes, and so I'd like a Tauren type of, I don't know how like specifics about it, I just like that. Let's see, what else could there be? I'm looking through all my like old videos for ideas or like things that will pop up and give me something. You know what? I think I still like the Darkmoon Fair. If I had to pick one thing, I'd say Darkmoon Fair. And that's and then for themes, or not themes, but like types of stuff I'd like to see within Hearthstone. I think they have one boss card where it's like whenever you play a card, this minion attacks it. I think they could do something with those types of cards, right? Like whenever they play a card, this card attacks it, and maybe it has some sort of weird effect, like when you take damage, summon a bigger minion. Like, I don't know. That sounds overpowered, but you know what I'm saying? Like a whole set of cards with when your opponent plays a card, this card does a thing. Or attacks it, or whatever it may be. Maybe like, or you'd have, oh my god, you could have actual trap cards, right? So like, yeah, you play your card, and it's like the next card your opponent plays is silenced. And so they either can't play a card, or they have to deal with your card, or they have to sacrifice a card for that. That could be interesting. That could throw a little new element into the game. That might be fun. So, I love Hearthstone, man. Hearthstone's one of those things where a lot of people don't play it. The competitive, constructed stuff's kind of boring, but I still love tavern brawls. I love the dungeon runs. I love the RNG aspects, because I think it just creates fun things to... I mean, you know, losing to RNG isn't fun, but pulling off crazy shit is very fun to me. And I also just like playing my friends in Hearthstone. I think it's fun too. Next question comes from, where are we? Cullen, Smoothest Ice, who says, thoughts on the Saints-Vikings game? That was a crazy game. NFL, for people who don't know what this is. And again, if you go to youtube.com/goodnightcrendor, I've been releasing weekly thoughts on my NFL playoff, or weekly thoughts on the NFL playoffs. So it's mainly me just being like, hello everyone, welcome back to me talking about the NFL. I put one of them up on this channel a week ago, actually, and now I've continued it over on that channel. So if you care about sports, or me rambling or whatever, go subscribe to that channel, and you'll find all my opinions on that. I also give my opinions on the other games that happened this week, so check that out, because I know most people here don't want to hear me ramble about sports, so that's why I did it. Yeah. Next up, we got Brendan Angami. Do you ever get depressed? Now we're getting serious. Yeah. I think everybody gets depressed. I think everybody gets all types of emotions. It's just, I don't think I've met a person who hasn't been depressed at some point. It's like how people say, oh, I just want to be happy. Well, happiness is just an emotion you can feel, right? You can be happy for 10 seconds, and then you'll be sad, or you can be happy for 5 minutes, or whatever, you can be happy more than you are sad. I think that's the thing, is people just want to be happy more than they are sad, or upset or anxious. I get anxious a lot, and I think anxiety is what goes into my depression more than anything. And I don't really mean, I know people who are far more depressed than I am. I'm not really a depressed person. I can get depressed about certain things, like health, or whatever it may be. Like, I've had a lot of stomach issues over the last 2 years, ever since I had mono. It must have changed something in me, so I've had, like, more heartburn, gastritis, things like that. And so you gotta watch what you eat more, and that can kind of depress you, like, man, I feel old, I'm only, like, 28, and I got all these things. But it's like, I just kind of, I try to deal with it and be like, you know what, there's other people, they got it worse off than me. I'm making videos on the internet. I feel good. I feel pretty happy still. So I'm happy that I'm not really, as depressed as a lot of people are. But I'd say I'm more anxious than depressed, to be honest. I get anxiety pretty badly. And a lot of people are like, man, you're like the chillest person ever. But anxiety is just the one thing that I've dealt with my whole life. Like, I remember even just being a kid, I would get really bad anxiety. And I'm talking like 5 years old, like me being like, I think my parents died in a car accident and stuff like that, and like crying. And everyone's like, what are you talking about? And just my mind would just create these like chaotic scenarios, like catastrophic scenarios, which is what a lot of anxiety is your mind just creating catastrophic scenarios out of just nothing. Like traveling, is a perfect example. You can take flying on a plane. You think like, I'm going to get on the plane, we're going to crash, we're going to die. So you're like, I don't want to go because of that. And your mind just does that, when in reality, most of the time you get on the plane and everything's fine. Or I'm like, I'm going to get to this place and I'm not going to be able to fall asleep. I'm going to have no sleep. I'm going to feel awful. I'm going to get sick. It's going to be terrible. Like, these like thoughts just run through your mind. And it's just something where, you get used to dealing with it kind of, but sometimes it can get overwhelming, and then that can make you depressed. So I've struggled more with anxiety than anything. But I like to think it's gotten better over the years. It did used to be worse. I used to be very big in, like, I was a big hypochondriac, and I'm still a hypochondriac, but not to that extent that I was, like, back in high school, or even, like, when I first started making WoW videos, it was pretty bad. So, yeah, I do get depressed. I get anxious, and I think if it's really bad, it's definitely worth getting help for it. I mean, I talked to my doctor about it, and he's like, if you ever feel like it's getting really bad every day, like, I can give you like anxiety medication for whatever. But he's like, it's just, I know a lot of people on it, like a few, like my one, what is it, my dentist, he's on anxiety medication. Like this other person I know is on anxiety. I don't know. My mom's on anxiety medication. Like, anxiety just runs in my family as well, but I think it's a pretty common thing to be, or to experience. I mean, because it's almost like a survival mechanism, right? Your brain's just being like, don't do this thing, we need to survive. Social anxiety is a perfect example. A lot of people are like, how can you be socially anxious? And I used to be very socially anxious too. That was another thing. It was just social anxiety can be crippling because you go out and you're like, this person's going to make fun of me. They're going to humiliate me. They're going to yell at me. Like, I'm going to do something wrong. I don't know what to say. I'm going to say something stupid. I'm going to say something wrong. And I think what's helped me get over that is just going to conventions, doing this where I just talk, and just being forced into social situations or being forced to express my opinions and talk to other people. And that's all it is just exposure therapy, right? I just was forced into social situations and it made me a more social person. Like I say it all the time, go back and listen to my old videos like 7-8 years ago, even like 5-6 years ago, and I'm like, hello everyone. Or if you listen to like my interviews, like the one with Trade Chat, I'm like, what did I say? She's like, what's your favorite like video game at BlizzCon? And I was like, it is Diablo. Just kidding, it is World of Warcraft. Like, it just comes across as very, what's the word? It's just, it doesn't sound right, is the way to say it. And I know it's, like, I had social anxiety, and I think a lot of people get social anxiety. A lot of people get anxiety in general, that's the thing. When did this even start? Do you get depressed? I do. But I get more anxious, and I'm getting better at dealing with it. So, I think I answered the question. Okay. Owen, Applegate Owen, asked, what was your first time playing WoW like? When, where, how old, character, what day? That's a lot of things. I do remember when I bought the game, I was... How old was I? It was freshman year of high school, so I was probably like 13, 14. And all my friends were playing it, so I really wanted to play it. Christmas had just ended. I remember it was like New Year's Day. And so we went to GameStop, because they were one of the only places that had it, which this was back when you had to buy the boxed copy of a game if you want it. You couldn't download games online. At least not WoW. And so I had to go do that. I got my copy of WoW. I got the box. I was very excited. And then I was able to, or actually, no, it may have been January 2nd, because I made my WoW account January 2nd. So maybe it was the day after New Year's Day. I think I got like money from my great aunt or something on New Year's Day. So I was like, yes, I can go buy WoW. And that was the only place that had it, was this one GameStop. And they had like 2 copies left. Boop, my screen went black. And I created a dwarf hunter, and I played through Dun Moreau for a bit. I got a small black pouch. It made me very excited. I was like, oh my god, this might be rare. And then I leveled him to like 6 or 7, and then I went and made my orc hunter instead to try horde, and that is the character that is Billy, that you know. From my WoW machinimas. That is Billy, my first ever orc hunter. So it's technically the second character I ever created. And he's what would be January 2nd, 2005. Yeah, it would be 2005. What's that? 13 years ago? A little over 13 years ago. Is when that happened. So, wowee. That's like half my life, essentially. Which is kind of crazy to think about. So, wow. Literally, World of Warcraft, wow. Next question. Dathan Wilburn says, one of your favorite movies that not many people have watched? Let's see. I like a lot of Studio Ghibli movies, but most people have seen those. One that many people might not have watched, but maybe heard of, is Jiro Dreams of Sushi. And I love that movie, partially because it makes me think, or not think, it makes me, what's the right word? I'm not getting the right word for what I'm trying to say. It motivates me to try and be more like that. So Jiro Dreams of Sushi is this guy in Japan. He's like 80, and he just goes to work every day. He makes like the best sushi. People like book for months to be with him. It's filmed. I love the way it's filmed. The like colors, the editing, the music, just everything. And he just talks about perfection and work ethic and just doing all these things. And it makes me aspire to be like that. And I think that's one of the reasons I love watching it, is just on top of how well it's filmed and everything. I'm always like, yeah, this really motivated me. Like, I want to do stuff now. And then I'm like, I never end up sticking with whatever schedule or motivational outcome happens, but it's like, it's just a motivational movie for me. And I've seen it like 4 times, and I'm probably going to watch it again soon because I haven't watched it in like a year or 2. But I would say if you haven't watched that, definitely watch that, especially if you like documentaries, because it's a documentary. And then the Netflix show, The Chefs, with all the chefs on it, I think that was actually kind of inspired by Jiro Dreams of Sushi. So I've watched a lot of those as well, which they've all been really good. So yeah, I would say check that movie out. It's good. Jiro, Jiro. Next question is from Anna of Azeroth, and they ask, who is your favorite character that you have made for your WoW machinimas? And I think a lot of people, for this question, would think like, oh, it's got to be Billy, or the Go guy, or Meatwad Taran, which is just my Taran that's like, oh, but I would say there's 2 that I can think of that I think are really good. One is the Jimmy got ganked outside guy, because I think that's just one of my, I think a lot of people know that line, and I don't even remember, I don't know how I thought it up. It's just like, Jimmy got ganked outside. It's just it's such a random thing. And I think that's why it's so funny, is because it's a very relatable line, like, somebody got ganked outside, and it's, I don't know. I really like that character. And probably the troll in If Fans Created Blank, the guy that pretty much started the, like, zombie dragons. See, he kind of embodies the whole character of, like, the community, like the crazed community. Like, I want the crazy stuff, like they gotta add zombie dragons, they gotta make this game hardcore, like that type of thing. So I've always liked that character, and I like voicing that character and like writing lines for him. And it makes me want to make a new If Fans Did a thing, but I just don't know what I would make it on. I'm sure I could find something though. So yeah, those are probably my two favorite characters. And then finally, we got Nikolai Gronthagard Andreessen, and I'm sure I didn't say your name right. And you ask, if you could add one thing to the new expansion, what would it be, and why? And I would say, I thought about this a bit when I read the question. I would say I'd want some sort of player housing. And the main reason is I've never been a big transmog person, but I've always enjoyed like having like a house, and you like decorate the house like in The Sims or like Star Wars Galaxies. They let you do that, some of the older RPG games, and I always envisioned like having some sort of little WoW home. You could like have your friends over, like decorate how you want, and just like have things like a hogger head on the wall, you know, or like have like this cool like table and chairs from the Grizzly Hills. Be like, oh yeah, it's carved out of like these Grizzly Hills trees and stuff. And I always enjoyed this idea because you could decorate your house however you wanted, even if it had to like fit some sort of like layout they gave you, like a few specific layouts or whatever. But like you could use different furniture, almost like transmogs. Like oh, you got these tables from the Grizzly Hills. You got these tables from the Silver Pine Forest, right? And you could like theme your house, and like people could come over and be like, oh shit, dude, that's so cool. And it would encourage you to go into the environment, which I think is one of the most important things, and like go back to old worlds. You could be like, oh, I got these mushroom cap stools in Zangar Marsh, right? You'd be like, oh, there's a floating rock up there. It's just something I got in Nagran. I think that'd be so cool. But the problem with it is I think they don't want to go back to all these different places and have to like add all this stuff. But I think it would be such a cool thing to have in the game that I'd say it's worth it. I think it would bring longevity to the game. I think a lot of people would have fun just doing that the same way they do transmog. You could have people over. I don't know if you could like play games or whatever in the house, but like, you know, I think it's just a cool idea. And I would put that in the game if I was the dev, but I'm not a dev. And yeah, I just give opinions on the internet. So that's what I do. Either way, thank you for listening, watching, whatever you're doing. Hopefully you had your question answered. And if not, you can try to have it answered next time on either twitter.com/Crendor or facebook.com/Crendor. Check those out. Links are all in the description below. Thank you for listening, watching, and I'll see you next time. Okay. See ya.